I'm really looking forward to this session because I think I'm going to be an active participant if anybody isn't. But so I'm going to go over to you, Kristi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I do. Can you all hear me okay? Can I just have something in the chat box so that I know that you're there? Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
So good to be with you. Yes, so I am Kristi Adams. I think I may have met quite a few of you before. So if so, it's lovely to see you again. If not, hello. What can I tell you about me very briefly? I guess the question is, what would you want to know? Or what would I want to know if I was sat in your shoes? Um, so I'm a coach and a trainer, and I've worked in and around the world of healthcare for 23 years, I think it is now. But my life in the NHS started, I think, when I was 7, because I very overnight became a young carer for my dad. So I went from having a reasonably normal life to a very not normal life. And I ended up caring for my dad until he passed away when I was 21. So I was thrust into the world of the health service. And I guess maybe I just knew from then that that was my place. I remember a particular doctor called Dr. Monson, who was, a very, very senior doctor, wonderful man. And he just really wrapped me up, him and his nursing team. And I was like, this is my place. So I've worked in it for a long time. I became quite unwell myself in 2012. I just had my 2 babies really close together, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I was pretty scared, if I'm honest, because dad had died when he was young and I was young, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this my path? Anyway, I won't go into the detail of that because you don't want to know that probably. But what you do need to know, or what I'd like you to know, is that I found coaching, or maybe coaching found me. I'm not really sure. It doesn't matter. But what I can tell you is that coaching changed my life. So it changed my life personally after a period of being in bed for a year, unable to move, being very unwell. And I thought, right, there's something in this. So I trained to be a coach, and I've studied coaching and behavior change for a very long time. And I came out of employment within the NHS, and I moved into having my own business as a coach and a trainer. And I now work within the health service and health related charities and social care to try and make sure that we all have the best conversations we can have, and I guess bring out the best in ourselves and each other. So that's how I've landed here with you today. I do have some slides to share, if I may. Don't worry, I promise you it will be not too many, but I just want to share some things with you. Let's see if we can get them up. Bear with me a moment. I tell you what would be really helpful for me though, everyone, is if you could type in the chat box what your experience of coaching is. And don't worry if it's absolutely none. I'm good with that. No problem at all. But if you could just type in what's your experience, that would be super helpful. Like I said, please don't worry if it's none at all. That's often the case. Lovely. So Derek, you've been coached and you want to be a coach. That's fab. I guess that may well be why you've ended up in this space today, which is great. Let me just see if my slide show will work. Let's have a look. Can you see the slides? Sue, can I ask you just to...
Yes, we can.
Lovely. Okay, so let's have a look. Some but would like to know more. You're a psychologist, Maribel. You've been coached and you want to improve your coaching skills. So some like really varied experience, which is absolutely what I would expect. Please meet yourself where you're at. It doesn't matter what your experience is. What you're here to experience is genuinely the transformational power of being heard. So what is coaching? So some of you will know, some of you not. I'm going to give you the formal definition. And there it is. It's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially it's partnering with what we call clients in a thought-provoking and creative process. And you can read that for yourself, hopefully. If anybody wants me to read it out, just type yes in the chat box and I will. Often people say they just want a moment to read through it. What I want you to get in your mind about coaching is that is quite a formal definition. So I am a coach, right? And some of you may well be coaches or training to be a coach. But what is so important is that coaching is a way of showing up. It's a way of being. It's a way of communicating with people. So even if you aren't a coach, you don't get paid to be a coach like I do, you will still be coaching in your life. And you can use coaching skills for all sorts of conversations with friends, family, colleagues. It doesn't work on pets, I'm afraid. My dog definitely can't be coached. But, you know, it is so applicable in all areas of our life. So I want you to not think about whether you are a formal coach or not. I want you to just think about, am I having coaching style conversations? And I'll delve into that in a bit in terms of what that means. So just some stats. Some of you like stats. I quite like stats. I think it brings things to life a little bit. So the International Coaching Federation, which you can see the definition of coaching up there, what they say is that what the evidence shows is that leaders who work with a coach experience a 25% improvement in leadership effectiveness. So like they're quarter better than they are without it, which is pretty huge. I think that's applicable not just to leaders. I think it's applicable for all of us. The Harvard Business Review says that coaching boosts productivity by 44%. So we can be almost, you know, half as productive again just by having coaching. It fosters better interpersonal skills, and it can lead to a 30% improvement in professional and personal relationships. So that's if you're having a coach. But like I said, you can take all of these skills into your life on a daily basis. So I just want to check, Sue, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Lovely. Okay, and I should have said to you right from the beginning, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat box. I can't promise to answer them all here. We've got a lot to cover, but equally, I will do my very best. And if you don't have your question answered here, I'm going to give you my contact details and you can get in touch afterwards. So I just want to talk to you about the value of coaching again. That is a review from somebody that very kindly reviewed me. The only reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to imagine yourself being that person. So this person was somebody that was stepping up into a senior role and was utterly overwhelmed. And she'd had all sorts of support over the years. And what she said was, coaching, it doesn't matter that it was with me, but coaching has been one of the most beneficial things that she's received in all of her personal and professional development over the years. And that bit at the bottom there, I really wanted to highlight to you because she talks really practically about, you know, I had a sounding board. I had dedicated time to plan when it's really hard, isn't it? You all know this. So hard to find time when there's just so much to be done and the to-do list is endless. And what this person was very visual. So she said, I had that ability to clearly visualize the end goal. It wasn't just a tick box, you know, it was much more than that. And I could make it much more tangible. So if you've never heard of coaching, after this, Google it, you know, explore it. It completely changed my life. It got me out of bed when I thought I wasn't going to be able to do life. This person, she catapulted after this into a more senior role and is just now super confident. So it has all sorts of wonderful, wonderful benefits. What are the top 10 things that people want coaching for? Do you know what I should have done? I'm going to move back a slide. I'm going to do that. I'm going to not make this easy for you. So what do you think, everybody, in the chat box? What do you think are the things that people want coaching for? There's no right or wrong answer. So, you know, what would you want support with? What would you want help to guide and navigate your way through? Type it in the chat box. What do you think are the things that people want coaching for?
I can read them out. So
Thank you, Sue.
Direction.
Yeah.
Nurturing, confidence, communicating, tackling difficult situations. Yeah, I think that's talking it through, isn't it? Understanding self.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome.
It's all those things and more. So, you know, it's anything where you think, I have got nowhere else to take this stuff. I need a safe, confidential space where I can be seen, I can be heard, and I can be understood. So here are some of the things that I work with people around. So career development, you know, either in role or transitioning to a new one, there's all you can have a look for yourself. If you want me to read it out, I will do so. I deliberately didn't put imposter syndrome on there, Aidan. It's an interesting one. I have so many people come to me about imposter syndrome, and some of the work I do with them is about getting rid of labels or creating new ones. And I think this imposter syndrome label is something that so many of us, and I have myself, carried. And if you look back at the term, it was kind of quite attributable to women originally. So I think I hear more women say it, interestingly, than men. But yeah, absolutely. Anything where we need to be more self-aware, self-confident, and we think, I've lost my way, because we're humans and that happens. And we can't always be top of our game. And, you know, I am a coach. I spend my life coaching. It's what I was put on this earth to do. I have a coach. I can't do the stuff I do in life and work without that, I've learned. And, you know, it's a personal investment, but it's one I'm very, very, very willing to make. So what are the 4 key components of coaching? Again, if you want to Google it afterwards or get in touch, there's so much stuff on here around coaching. I just want to give you the nuggets so that you can take away with confidence and think, I can do that coaching thing. So I've put this as the bars model. So some of you might be thinking about how you raise your bar or your bars. Others of you might like going to bars. I'm not going to ask you to disclose that now. That's up to you. But, you know, just remember the bars model. So the first bit of it is building rapport. That is key in any interaction, isn't it? Building the relationship is the foundation of us as human beings and how we make stuff happen. We get things done through relationship. So building rapport, being present. Anyone heard of matching and mirroring? Can you pop it in the chat box, yes or no? If you think I'm going mad, that's fine. You can let me know that too. But matching and mirroring. So no, some of you, yes. How many have we got? We've got quite a few of you, haven't we? Okay. So matching and mirroring is something that we can do to instantly put ourselves in rapport with somebody. So if I'm matching you, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. So could you just do something with your hand? Like, could you rest your hands on your head on your hand or something? So if I'm matching you, although it's backwards, isn't it? Not virtually. So this is tricky. But essentially, if I was matching you, I'd go like that, just very gently to show you that I'm with you. It triggers off these neurological, but what we call mirror neurons. So you and I are just much more in the rapport than if I sit like this. If I was mirroring you, I'd be doing the opposite. But essentially, that process of being in the same physical position or state as somebody can instantly put you into rapport. So if you're in a meeting with somebody and they're sat back, you can sit back. But if you want to lead them into the conversation, you might sit back and then just gently move forward, because those neurons are triggering between you, and you might then end up in a space that's more conducive to your conversation. The second one is by the way, you're doing all this stuff. Like, this isn't rocket science. You are doing it, aren't you? Yes, of course you are, because you're living life. You actively listen. How well do you actively listen? You know, we're all as guilty as others sometimes in our home lives in particular for not really listening, because we're unloading the dishwasher, we're, you know, worrying about what we're going to cook for dinner. We're not really in that active listening space. So think of active listening as in like a tunnel, like an absolute tunnel, like there's nothing going on the periphery, nothing else matters in that moment. You are actively in that space, listening to their words, their intentions, their motivations. And then what we do is we respond with questions. So have you ever been asked a why question and you've thought, oh, I feel a little bit judged here? So I'll give you an example. My sister-in-law, who I adore, she said to me once, why don't you like prawns? And I just got myself in a right old pickle, because I was thinking, I don't know how to answer that question. Why don't I like prawns? If she'd have said to me, Kristi, what don't you like about prawns? Oh, well, let me tell you, I don't like the texture. I don't like the colour. I don't like, you know, I could go on. But the point is, a why question can hold a connotation of judgment. You know what I'm saying, don't you? Yes, it's NLP. So what we want to do is ask open-ended, inquisitive questions: who, what, where, when, how. So if you're in your work situation and there's a relationship that you're stuck with and you're thinking, how can I move through this? Just notice, do you ask why questions? If so, What happens if you change it to a who, what, where, when, how question? How can you reframe your questions to elicit better responses in people? Because essentially coaching, quite simply, is all about bringing out the best in people and bringing out their inner resource and their inner worth, inner power, and inner being, really, to be honest with you. So if we ask these insightful questions, that's how we bring things out of people. And then the S is summarizing and reflect. So after this session, I'm going to invite you to go away and really listen to people actively, like you're in a tunnel with them. And one of the things to start doing is listening to their very specific words, because we all have favorite words that we use. So my husband told me the other day, he said, you always use the word weird. I was like, do I? What do I? And it gave me so many examples of where that day I'd use the word weird. And I think what I mean by weird is just like a bit uncomfortable. It doesn't feel quite right for me. But my husband thinks that weird is something completely different. So you just need to listen out for people's words, because we all use different words. When we use each other's words, that it can get us into a space together and into rapport together really quickly. Listen for people's metaphors. So I have somebody that I work with, and she always talks about feeling like she's stuck in a room with loads of doors closed. And we talk about that. What does it feel like to be in that room? Which door do you want to open? Which door is easy to open? So the way to help people feel understood and seen and heard is to build rapport, actively listen, respond with questions, and summarize and reflect back so that they know that you're with them. Have you heard of the Grow coaching model? Just give me some yeses or nos in the chat box, please. I just want to know at what level to pitch this. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And I know some of you have got your cameras off, so I hope you're here. I mean, you might as well be, because you are here. Yeah, good. All right. So this is the Grow coaching model. I'm going to run through this so super quick. So just take in what you can. The Grow coaching model is a way of framing a conversation. So as coaches, it's one of the tools that we use. You can use this in all conversations when you want to move forward with something. So the acronyms GROW. So the goal, what is it you want? What's your goal? What's your current situation? That's the reality in relation or pertaining to that goal. What are your options for moving forward? So open up the space for them with those who, what, where, when, how questions. What is available to you, or what could you do? What's possible that you've never done before? And then you sort of funnel back down. Chris is eating a prawn sandwich. Why do you like prawns, Chris? No, let's not go there. You funnel back down into what will you do now? Okay, so this is the Grow coaching model. You're going to see this in action in a moment. I'm going to give you at the end of this session some example Grow coaching questions that you can take away, you can play with yourself, and hopefully start weaving them into your conversations. But what I want you to know about coaching is it's not rocket science. It's a way of being, it's a way of interacting, and it's a way of bringing out the best in people. So I've got no idea what's coming now. I literally have no idea. I think, Sue, you and I are going to do a live unscripted coaching demo. How does that sound?
That's fine, unless anybody else wants to volunteer and would rather it be them than me, then I'm very happy for that. But you've got a few seconds to volunteer.
Anyone volunteering? Doesn't look like it. So Sue, it's over to you. So what I'm going to invite you all to do is to sit back, relax, chill out, eat your prawn sandwich, do whatever you're doing, okay? But really be in this space with me and with Sue, because you're going to really feel the powerful transformation that coaching can bring. Notice how I use the bars model. Some of you will remember that. Some of you will have already forgotten it. So the building rapport, actively listening, responding with questions, summarizing and reflecting. And then what do you notice about Grow? So I'm going to go back. Do you want to take a picture of the Grow model quickly so that you've all got that to hand, or maybe someone could put it in the chat box? Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing because, Sue, I want it to be a real situation where you and I are absolutely in this space. So for everyone else, if you could just turn your cameras off. I know it's unusual, isn't it, to say that, but please don't go anywhere, because you just won't get anything from it if you go off and, you know, do the dishwasher or whatever you're going to do. So stay with us. So let's have a look. There you are. So it's just you and I now in this space. Thank you very much. Guys, I'm closing down the chat box. Okay, so if anybody wants my attention or Sue's attention, I definitely am going to close the chat box, because I just want to be with Sue. Okay. All right. So Sue, it's 2:38. I'm going to do this until probably 2:52. Yeah, like 50, no, 9:41, 43. So till 43, sorry, 53, because that gives us 15 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So everybody sit back, relax, observe. So Sue, can I please just check with you before we do anything else? Are you in a comfortable space where you feel that you can talk freely?
I am, thank you.
Good, all right. And there's nothing going to ping at you, nothing needs your attention?
Nothing, not as far as I'm aware.
Lovely.
My phone.
Yeah, okay, just move everything away so you can be really here. I'm absolutely here with you in this space, okay? This is a private, confidential space, so nobody else other than the observers can hear this conversation. And have you got something to make some notes on if you want to?
I have.
Good. All right. So I have a pen and paper, Sue. I won't be taking copious notes, but there might be some things that you say that I might just make a note of so that I can reflect it back to you.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you need to do just to land in this space?
I don't think so.
Okay, right. Okay. How relaxed are you feeling?
I'm actually quite looking forward to it.
Good. Okay, all right. And I know you're going to bring something very real. And do I have your permission to just reflect back some of the things I hear you say, perhaps highlight any contradictions?
Yes, please.
Okay, and sort of gently nudge you if I'm sensing that your words might not be quite congruent with your body language or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
okay. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So we've got plenty of time. What would you like to think about?
Well, it was quite interesting because it was number 2, and I hadn't realised that was such a popular thing. And this is really about the planning, my lack of planning, and sometimes my what I really do, and I think, why did I do that? Is say yes a lot to stuff, and that just sends me into another state of, why did I say yes to that? Did I really need to take on something else?
Thank you for sharing that. So saying yes a lot. And as you're describing the saying yes a lot, tell me what's happening to you kind of physically, emotionally, mentally?
Well, I think it's because the reason why I say yes is the desire to help, and the desire to, is to, well, I think it's because I know I can. So I know I can, so I take it on. And sometimes that's not always quite helpful, because I think it actually makes me less efficient, a lot less efficient. And I think I could be much more efficient if I had the capacity to sort of almost, how do I get something that's sort of like an alert in place in my head to sort of say, hang on, can you really do that?
Yeah, I hear you, Sue. And you did this. So it's almost like an alert, like a sound. So what you're looking for is an alert that triggers you to think before you say yes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you want to say back to me in your words what it is that you want?
I think it is I mean, is it the fact that I need to understand why I say yes? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I think it's just my nature. And I think because I ran my own business and everything, it used to be I just said yes to everything because you do, don't you? So whether it's a habit that I've picked up from then, I don't know, but it is just that how can I give myself a strategy that will say, that will give me some breathing space before I say yes.
Okay, so I'm going to say it back to you using your words.
Okay.
Just tell me what happens when I say it. So a strategy that gives you some breathing space before you say yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And if you had that, how different would life be?
I think it would make a massive difference, actually. I do, because I think then if I can stop saying, because my head then starts going on a different tangent, and I start getting embroiled in everything else that the yes entailed. And I just sometimes I need to finish stuff. I need to finish what I'm doing and then allow myself to say yes to stuff.
So what you're describing is a situation whereby something comes your way and you instantly say yes without giving it any thought, and it's distracting you from the other thing or things that you had said yes to as well. Okay.
This massive snowball that's building.
Tell me about the snowball.
Well, it's just because I've said yes to a lot of stuff. So it's there, and it's almost like, you know, when you think to yourself, if I don't do something about it now, then it's going to get a little bit too big. I'm not going to be able to stop that snowball going down the hill at a very fast rate.
Where's the snowball? Where are you? Can you describe that?
I'm running just behind the snowball.
So the snowball's going down the hill, you're running behind it.
Yeah.
Okay. And how fast?
Quite fast, I think.
And if you imagine the snowball and you in the scenario that you would want it to be, what then happens?
I think it would be nice if the snowball melted, disappeared, then I'd stop.
Yeah. And actually, as you said that, you really smiled.
Yeah, and that sense of relief.
You said, yeah, the sense of relief. Tell me about that sense of relief.
It's just because then you feel more in control, don't you? If you're haven't got that snowball visually in your head and you're feeling in control, then that would be a good place for me to be.
So melting the snowball would give you that sense of control. That would be a good place for you to be. And this all stems back does it to you saying yes?
I think so, yeah.
You think so?
I do, yeah, I do. And I do, and I say, I've just said yes again. I did do that.
And what more can you say about what happens in the bit before you say yes?
Well, we're generally having quite a positive conversation. So I'm always quite excited about new projects, and I do like taking on new projects because I like doing it. I say yes. And I love doing it. I love having the creative space, and I love thinking, oh God, that's so great. Yes, I really want to do it. So it's not because I don't want to do it at all, because I'm passionate about it, but it's just, you know, it's my overcommitment to it that's the issue.
And it's having an impact on your life, presumably.
It's just, you just feel that I can't keep, because you can't keep doing it, can you? I've got to say stop.
So what would happen if you did just keep doing it?
I think at some point overwhelm would kick in.
And then what?
Then I'd feel quite unhappy about that, and I wouldn't feel energized in the stuff that I'm doing. And I don't want that to happen because I like doing what I do.
So what's this about?
I think it is just about me planning a little bit better. I think that's what I feel, is that just need to plan a little bit better.
And you said at the beginning, you sort of want an alert or a strategy. How does that link to the plan?
I think if I have an alert and a strategy, then I would be able to plan better, because if I'm giving the time, if I'm giving myself the time with the strategy, I'm much more effective and efficient in the plan, which would enable me to be more efficient and probably complete more.
So you have a choice to make the change or to stay as you are. What do you choose?
I would like to make the change.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, if 0 is I'm not going to do it, 10 is...
No, it's a 10.
Okay. This matters to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we've got a few minutes left.
Okay.
What could you do that you've never done before?
And I don't know, and it's what does that look like, you know, on that? How do I need to engage my brain, and what are the words that I can use to say no without it meaning no, full stop? Because I'm not saying no, I'm saying no, not yet.
So you've just found some words.
Yeah.
It's no, not yet.
Yeah. So I can do it, but I can't do it right now. Or can we schedule in some time? You see, you've helped, haven't you? Because it's me to do.
Yeah.
So that's what I need. It is, I'd love to get involved in this project. However, can we schedule this in a few months' time? You see?
How does that sit with you?
That sounds great. Why didn't I think of that?
Well, you know what? It hasn't come to you before. Maybe you haven't had a space to think about it. So that's what this space is for you,
Power
right?
of coaching. And that's absolutely honest there, because I haven't. So
yeah. So before we close, how helpful would it be just to write down some of those phrases or those words so that you've got them in your back pocket? Go for it.
I'm gonna
Take your time.
Okay, done that. Okay.
Who is the person in life, work or life generally, that you have a lot of or huge admiration for? One person that comes to instinctively.
I mean, we're a very close family, so I think it would be very hard to separate anybody in particular.
Okay. What about someone famous or someone at work?
I'm sure I would be able to think about somebody, perhaps not quite now, but I'm sure I would. I'm terrible at things like that.
That's all right. No, there's no pressure. But maybe something to ask yourself outside of this session is, what would they say? What would they do? Sometimes it helps to put ourselves in the situation objectively or through the eyes of a mentor. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we literally just have 2 minutes. When you look at your list, what other phrases or words would you add?
Well, I think I've got those sentences that I would definitely use. To be honest, and I'm going to try them.
Well, you won't know until you try. So so that we can get you to the... That's all right. Let's just close this off for you, Sue. What will you do as a result of this 15-minute conversation?
What I will do is, the next time I'm having a conversation, in fact, I'm going to put a post-it note on my desk with the words on it.
And that's your alert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In bold, in red pen.
There you go. Your pen's all ready. All right. Sue, thank you so much for
Thank
kind of
you.
boldly entering into that. Neither of us knew what was going to come,
No,
but
we
you were
didn't.
a wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful
Thank you.
participant. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'd love to see your cameras back on now. Come on, come back into the room. It doesn't matter if you're eating, drinking. It would just be so nice, Sue, wouldn't it, to see people?
Yeah, absolutely. And get people's thoughts, comments.
Yeah.
Please do put your hands up.
Yeah, what was it like to observe?
Chris, come on.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Kristi, that was an absolute masterclass. Absolute. I think I put in the chat that it felt very intimate and authentic. I've done a basic course in L&P. I'm not as experienced as you, but certainly in the roles that I undertake, it's about not just listening to, being heard and attended to, and all of the techniques that you've talked through. But it's funny, isn't it, that it's okay in work life, but less easy in personal life because all of those emotional triggers and background. But it also felt reassuring, if I may, Sue, because you're somebody I look up to and I think you're inspirational in the work you do. But to know that you have frailties as well is somehow reassuring, if I could say that. Do you know what I mean? And that in itself...
Oh, I have many.
But that in itself creates trust and confidence because there's a degree of intimate disclosure, which, you know, Kristi will understand far better than me, you know, that creates trust and confidence. It creates that sense of belonging and connection. So a real masterclass, Kristi. Thank you ever so much. And thank you, Sue, for being vulnerable and opening up.
That was proper authentic, that. Would anybody else thank you, Chris, for your very kind comments. Thank you. Yeah. Anybody else like to come in?
That was good. That was good exercise. And yeah, well done, Sue. That was brave. But what I noticed is you cyclically sort of re-asked. You did the how, what, when, and you allowed Sue to give the answers and then to reflect back. You gave lots of reflection space. And I guess that what that emphasized for me is it's a way of practice, it's a way of life, and just doing it more and more becomes more sort of entrenched in how we deliver. And how, I guess the thing that we hear at the moment is how, one, we want to present ourselves, the shadows that we cast, and then how we can use that to be effective leaders. So coaching is super, I'm a big advocate for coaching, so I can see why you love it, Chris. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments there. And absolutely was a masterclass in coaching. Would anybody like to say some final words? Final thoughts?
Or ask me any questions, yeah. You know, drain my brain. There's not much left in it today, but I'll do my best. No questions at the moment. Yeah. So just to say, I want to bust some myths about coaching. Like, it's just a way of being. It's a way of showing up. It's a way of conversing. It's a way of bringing out the best in people. You know, life is really tough. We are working in the health service, not for any of the fame and fortune, because if you find it, tell me. I've never found it. You know, there is none of it. It's thankless. It's exhausting. We get broken, right? But we still have to show up, and we've got people relying on us and depending on us. If you take the pressure off of your shoulders and just enter into spaces where you listen and you ask questions and you open up spaces for conversation, what you'll find as leaders and people working in health, social care, you know, community voluntary sector, spaces will open up and things will come into conversations that you never thought were there. So, you know, take the pressure off yourselves. You're doing a bloody brilliant job in really hard circumstances sometimes. And this is just another string to your bow.
Thanks, Kay. Yes, Chris, thanks.
Thank you.
I have a couple of just one thing to share with you before we go. Let's get there. Can you see the slide, Sue?
Yes, we
You're
can.
my barometer. Okay, so I'm going to put some grow questions in the chat for you in a minute. I'm also going to put some other things in the chat for you, just some free stuff. I love free stuff. I've been in around healthcare for a long time. There's loads of tools and tips and things that you can use. So I'll put it all in the chat. But here are some books that have kind of really helped me in my thinking around coaching. So you're welcome to take a screenshot of that if you want to. And the other thing is and I'm really lucky to be sort of talking to Jade a lot about how I bring my community and the work I do into the IHSCM. But I have a community of over 300 people, and I send out top tips and tools and techniques, and we meet online. It's free. We gather. Sometimes we bring a glass of wine. Shh, don't tell anyone. And we just hang out and we come together and we go, this stuff's really tough, isn't it? How can we help each other? We've got a WhatsApp group of 40 something people. So you're all welcome to join all of that stuff. There's no cost. I just want to make healthcare a better place to be. I really, genuinely, from my heart and soul, I just want everybody working in healthcare to value themselves and to be able to show up and give everything they can. But you need the support. You really do. So go in there. Sign up. Love to connect with you after today. My email address is there. It's super long. I really need to get that sorted. I've got a website, needs a bit of updating, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. And I'm quite big on LinkedIn in that I use it a lot, and I've met some incredible people. And actually a lot of these conversations have changed my life. So let's connect. Let's keep talking. If you want to know more about coaching, get in touch with me. You know, it may be that you want coaching with me. It may be that I can connect you with somebody else that might be more suitable. Go on the International Coaching Federation website. There's loads of stuff on there. I'm a International Coaching Federation qualified coach, so I'm on there, but there's loads of us. And what I would say to you, if you want to think about coaching for you, for your team, you've got to find the right person. You've got to find the person that works for you in your context. So ask coaches some really tricky questions, you know, make them work when you have chemistry type calls with them, because you want to make sure that they're the right person for you. And if you want some guidance, or you want that potentially to be me, then you now know where I am.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Kristi. That was an absolutely fabulous session, and I hope that has really engaged and motivated, which I am sure it has, to
You're
all the
so
people who have
welcome.
attended.
I'm just going to pop those things in the chat box now before we go, Sue, because I don't want people to leave without it. So
that's okay. Now we are going to have a 10-minute break now.